Yo, what's going on, beautiful people? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby. Coming at you guys today with an update for my Gishki hand loop variant. People have been asking me about this, updates on it, ever since Savage Strike was announced. In fact, some people asked even a month in advance before Savage Strike came out, just knowing that it was coming out, just asking, how are you going to update the deck? How are you going to change it with Savage Strike? So I'm going to show you guys this new build, and I have to say right now, this build is so different from any of the other variants that I've shown you, any of the other updates. This build is way more powerful than the other ones. It's not just about the Savage Strike support that we got via the Incantation stuff, but it's also what I'm tweaking in my main deck. I got some more sauce for you guys. It's a really powerful card that I started playing that actually can extend my hand loop by 1 extra card, which makes a huge difference. Every incremental disposition you can put your opponent under, every possible way that you can pose a detriment to their playstyle, to their game state, to trying to prevent them from killing you, especially because you're playing a rogue deck, do it, bro. It doesn't matter how unfair or cheesy they may think it is. They can't be mad at you because at the end of the day, if they lost to Gishkis, they have to be mad at themselves. So we're going to hop into the main deck, you guys. This list is super consistent. I also would like to say that people need to show more love to Gishkis because this deck is so awesome. I've been playing this deck for 7 years, and in the 7 years I've been playing it, I've never got bored of it once. It's just always been really fun. It's a good old-fashioned classic ritual deck, which is my favorite of all the summoning mechanics, you guys. Let's get into this list. We're going to start off with 3 copies of Zilgigas. Zilgigas is one of the strongest power plays of the deck. You have a lot of power plays in this deck. That's what makes it even better, because even playing under pressure, playing through interruptions, the deck has so many plays that you can make, especially with the Incantations, giving you free extenders and enablers, the ability to even pop more cards going second and clearing fields. Just is insane. But Zilgigas himself is non-targeting, non-destruction removal. He's a 32 base boss monster that lets you draw more cards and enable so many plays. With the new rank 10 Train Leap, you can actually do crazier OTKs with this card where you can clear 2 cards off of his effect. If you can't attack over your opponent's monsters for enough damage, you just overlay these 2 into your rank 10 Gustav, burn your opponent for 2k, and then use Leap to OTK your opponent. So that really gives you another win condition for going second, because oftentimes you can't really go for Boar Sword, but sometimes you can. But like, there's so many strengths that this card gives the deck that it's the only ritual monster I feel that you need to play at 3, because he really is just the boss monster. He carries the deck a lot of the times, and he's one of the best ways that you could play this deck going second. In fact, a lot of times you can't really win going second unless you can get access to this card, or if you can get access to your Chalice line, which helps you to out threats as well. And then we play the 1 copy of Gustkraken and the 1 copy of Mine August. Mine August and Gustkraken are part of your hand loop. I feel that the most competitive way that you can play Gishkis, if they ever were to be competitive, in my personal opinion, and this is just an opinion, I feel that the hand loop variant would be the only way that Gishki can play competitive. The deck can make rank 8s, rank 10s, rank 6s, and rank 4s, and it can put out multiples in 1 turn if given a good hand, but that's unrealistic to assume that your deck can just put up that every single time consistently without relying on the Incantations, which those actually lock you out of the extra deck a lot of times. So I just find that the hand loop variant is just the most powerful one for me personally. What Gustkraken and Mine August do really matters, because this is how you really get the degenerate part of the deck. Yes, it's degenerate, but it's a rogue deck that nobody cares about. So this deck being degenerate doesn't matter to anybody, because literally nobody cares about this deck outside of a few people that I know. So Gustkraken can look it up to 2 cards in your opponent's hand. This card right here is the hand loop. This card is how you're going to take your opponent's hand away from them. You look at your up to 2 cards in your opponent's hand and you shuffle 1 into the deck. By the end of your combo, you're going to have the opportunity to look at your opponent's entire hand. You're going to know every card that they have and every card that you took. And what you're going to do as a smart player is you're going to leave them with the worst cards. The worst cards, the cards that make their hand unplayable. You're going to take the cards that made their hand playable in the first place, the cards that, you know, you have that missing piece where you're like, oh, like prime example, I'm a Cyber Dragon player, right? Let's say I had Machine Duplication, I had Cyber Rep System, and I had like 1-for-1, and like I had Galaxy Soldier, for example, and the other card in my hand was a Rev System. I'm going to take the Rev System out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out that 1-for-1. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out that Machine Dupe. I'm going to try to make your hand as weak and crippled as possible. And that's what the Hand Loop really helps. Even if you can't take every card from your opponent, the only thing that matters is you take away the best power plays that they have, and you force them to have to top deck a good card. If they don't top deck a good card, then more than likely you're going to lose, because you can just OTK them with the ranked 10 trains, which gives you another win condition. This card is another degenerate card, which is why I feel this deck can effectively play Zaborg better than any deck. Not because you can get more advantage. You get the same advantage naturally in any ritual deck that you play Zaborg in. But because Mind August can recycle back your Elder Entity Unts, your Herald of Arclights, and your Totally Awesomes potentially, and your Zaborgs, not only will you never deck out because of this card, but you'll also will never run out of Zaborgs, and you'll never run out of the best extra deck targets that Zaborg has. No other ritual deck currently as things stand can recycle the targets that you send off Zaborg. So any other deck like Necros will only be able to resolve Zaborg in the most impactful manner one time. Sometimes that one time's enough, but not every time, because decks are crazy and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just a really evolved game right now. So the fact that you can do Zaborg multiple times in the same duel with all the draw power the deck has is just why I feel Gishki's plays Zaborg the best. In your Thunder Dragon matchup also, which is one of the weakest matchups, you have the potential of shuffling back their entire graveyard and then just attacking over their Thunder Dragon Colossuses and etc., and they won't be able to protect themselves. And don't forget, Zilgates can always just shuffle them. So those are the Gishki blue monsters that I'm playing. I was considering taking a Soul Ogre in my main deck just to kind of mitigate the issue that I had with going second against established boards. But I also felt that Chalice Slime really helped me out in general with doing that. I'm playing double Chalice Slime. I was going to play 3 originally, but what ended up happening was I just decided to incorporate a third preparation. So I have 3 preps on my main deck now. And the third prep technically gave me an additional copy of Chalice Slime in the form of the preps, but also gave me the flexibility of not having to only search out Chalice Slime, but search out other combo pieces that I need as well. And this card actually is just insane. It's like a danger, really. You just can reveal it and discard any card in your hand, summon an incantation from your deck. So this card is never a brick. That's why I really want to play 3 of it, because a lot of the times this card unbricks your hands, and it really does. Realistically, it unbricks your hands. It gives you the additional missing combo piece that you need to keep going. And oftentimes when you don't have Zaborg, you can only rip 2 to 3 cards out of your opponent's hand. Naturally, the realistic expectation is you can only rip 2 out of your opponent's hand. Now, because you're only able to rip 2, having a card like Chalice Slime really helps, because if you have him in your hand, you can rip a 3rd card out of your opponent's hand. And that literally just by having Chalice Slime, you can do that. This card's really powerful, you guys. And it also has spot removal, which makes a huge difference in your game state. So the card is just so good. You absolutely have to play it in the Gishkis, whether you're playing Hand Loop or not. Next up for our Incantations, people are going to think I'm crazy for playing this ratio, but I'm playing 3 of every single Incantation. Now, the reason being is because if I can't open the Incantations, my Hand Loop is absolutely going to be reliant on me having to hard draw either my Abyss, my Shadows, or my Visions. Shadows, Visions, and Abyss are the only other ways that you can search out your Gishki combo pieces, and that's only 9 cards. And while that's a Fibrocallific component of your deck, and it's naturally 1/4 of it, it's still not enough, because you can't just open with 1 Aqua Mirror and 1 way to resolve Gust Kraken. You have to resolve Gust Kraken as many times as you possibly can, and this is how you abuse it, because you're naturally able to get 2 of these 4 effects in the same turn. Sometimes when you open properly with Chalice Slime and the Ritual spell, you can actually resolve all 4 of the Incantation effects, because what ends up happening is Chalice Slime triggers 1, the Ritual spell triggers another, and then you can actually trigger the 3rd one that you want just in your hand by revealing it and summoning the other components. So I'm sorry, you only get to resolve 3, but it's the fact that you can resolve 3 of the 4 in the same turn, which extends your Hand Loop so much. And the Incantations are really what carries the deck in your grind, giving you so many plays to make and so many extensions to the same exact components of the combo that you're already trying to continue to produce and keep it pushing. These are just ridiculously insane. And the other reason why these are so important is obviously Zaborg is never a good it's never a good card in my hand unless I have these. So I really just needed to maximize on the consistency of the deck, while at the same time making sure that Zaborg is always live in my hand. The other reason for playing 3 of every Incantation, which this is the spice. I need a drum roll, please. We're playing 3 copies of Diablos, the Lord of the Lair. You guys are going to think I'm crazy, and what's going to happen is people are either going to like this or they're going to hate me and they're going to leave trolly comments about my ratio saying you shouldn't play 3 of this, you shouldn't play 3 of that. They're going to try to tell me how to play my deck as if they've played Gishkis for 7 years. So the reason why we're playing 3 Diablos in the main deck is because every single hand, whether it's good or bad, you're going to be tributing your incantations, whether it's through Zaborg or just through a sheer ritual summon. And you're tributing your incantations, and the fact that they give you access consistently to dark monsters on the field to tribute is what makes Diablos a live card every time. And that's the reason why we needed to maximize on every incantation, so that you can consistently get a dark monster on your field, so that you can tribute it and prop Diablos. What Diablos' job here is, excluding the fact that he's a powerful boss monster that has protection, his job in this deck is to extend my hand loop. You guys, this card is so crazy in this deck. Like, I don't even know how I came up with this crap. Like, I really don't know how I keep doing this with this Gishki deck. But I keep trying to figure out ways to break it. And I'm just sitting here looking through all my cards, just doing thorough research. Like, Mind Crush was an option considered. Like, you could still play Mind Crush, because really the whole purpose of my deck is I just want to take my opponent's ability to play. And, like, you can even play Mind Crush because Gust Kraken looks at your opponent's hand, so you're never going to call it wrong with Mind Crush. And you really just want to Mind Crush their final card, and so they're left with only the card that they drew for turn that you didn't know of. But that's what Diablos does. Anytime you can't extend your hand loop if your hand was good or bad, if Gust Kraken can only hit 3, Diablos is going to hit the 4th one, and he gives you a follow-up beat stick for your next turn so that you can push for more damage. This is an insane boss monster in the Sky Striker matchup. So Zaborg and Diablos in your main deck give you high ceiling in specific matchups, like Sky Strikers and Geist wrecking their entire extra deck with Zaborg and getting Diablos. And sometimes you don't always have to use Diablos to tribute itself. Sometimes you have that other dark incantation on the field. You can just tribute that, rip a card out of your opponent's hand, and keep sitting on Diablos. And this gives you more control, because if your opponent top decks a card that they can play and they don't get to play their entire hand, Diablos will clear the final card out of their hand anyway. So yeah, this deck is really nasty. It's really degenerate. But it's the fact that it's a rogue deck, and I really wanted to make it as competitive as possible without deviating from the trajectory of Gishki's their self. I didn't want to go against the actual pureness of the deck, how it is. So I wanted to keep it all ritual related, and I didn't want to play hand traps or evenly matched or impermanences or anything like that. I was like, I'm just going to beat my opponent with blue cards and other tech cards like that. So this is everything that's going to really be elevating the ceiling of the deck outside of just the pure Gishki stuff itself. And then to the Gishki part of the deck, finishing off the Gishkis, we play 3 copies of Shark Bait. Ooh ha ha. Yeah, baby. The Gishkis, another cool thing about this deck is nothing in the Gishki archetype is once per turn. This was once upon a time in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where once per turn was not an issue, and Konami wasn't so worried about balancing the mechanics of cards. They were just like, you know, nobody's looping or abusing stuff right now. Let's just make everything not once per turn. So you have 3 Shark Baits. He's the Stratos of the deck. There are other Stratoses, like Gishkis have a lot of archetype-specific searchers, but I wanted to play the best ones, which are Shark Bait, 3 copies of Vision, and 3 copies of Shadow. So these cards discard their self to basically search out your ritual monster and your ritual spell, and they also can be treated as the entire tribute for a ritual summon of a water ritual monster. These are the OG Unicorn and Colossuses, and, you know, the OG Bryonics and stuff like that. Necros are reminiscent of Gishkis because Necros are the actual continuation of the Gishki tribe in the future. Now for the spells of the deck, we have 3 copies of Extra Foolish Burial. I understand that paying life points is a really an issue in time. If you're ever going into time, you just want to cite this out. But also understand that if I can rip cards out of my opponent's hand to the point where they can't play, I don't care how much life points I have. If my opponent can't kill me, it doesn't matter. Like, all that matters is that I don't kill myself. And this card is just really powerful, you guys. Just the fact that I can search out my combo pieces without getting my normal summon. This is why I played this over Manjus, which you could play in the deck still. But I just wanted to search out more combo pieces without normal summoning because I'm trying to dig for that Zaborg as much as I possibly can. I'm trying to resolve Zilgigas as many times as I can without killing myself. 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. This can search out your Child Slime. So actually, just if you open with a prep, if your hand is good enough and you just open with a prep and a Diabolos, Lord of the Lair, you're normally going to be able to just rip 2 cards out of your opponent's hand via Gust Kraken and also Diabolos. So prep plus just any other random good card in your hand rips 2 out of your opponent's hand. So like that can be a 2-card combo right there. Then we have 3 copies of Gishki Aquamirror. This is one of the most degenerate ritual spells I've ever seen in my life. In fact, I really think that it is. It's even worse than Dawn of the Herald because this card just continues to put itself back in the deck and it's not once per turn. Yeah, again, nothing in the Gishki archetype once per turn. Also, another inclusion for the deck is I'm going to be playing Gishki Cyclone very soon. Gishki Cyclone is a level 4 ritual where you can declare monster, spell, or trap. Look at one random card in your opponent's hand. If it's the declared type, you shuffle it into the deck. So obviously you're going to know what's in your opponent's hand because Gustkraken can continue to look at their hand. So if, for example, you're playing Strikers, the second you've seen enough cards in their hand, you know that it's going to be spells. You're playing Geist, the second you've seen enough in their hand, you're going to know it's traps. You're playing Thunder Dragons, the second you've seen enough in their hand, you're going to know it's monsters. So you have a higher chance to rip your entire, there is a potential, if your hand's good enough, you can actually rip all 5 cards out of your opponent's hand. And it's even easier if they hand trap you and you play through the hand trap. That's one less card that you have to rip out. And then the sum of the main deck, we're playing 2 copies of Inception. This card is insane, you guys. It's actually ridiculous. This card is so powerful, dude. Just resolving it and getting it engraved, its follow-up is more powerful than its resolution of its actual card effect. You can grind for so long with just one Inception. You can just grind for so long with the card, but I actually wanted to play 2 because it's really just that good. I didn't want to be wasting a search on it. I'd rather just open it, and that's even more insane, especially when you open this, you pitch it with your Chalice Slime, and then you special summon 1 from deck, use that effect to search, then you use your Inception to send that from the field to the grave, add Inception, special another incantation from your deck, that incantation gets a search, and then you go +1 off of just having Chalice Slime and Inception in hand. It's really powerful, you guys. This deck is really, it's no joke. I'm not overhyping it. I'm not lying to you guys. I'm being sincere, and I'm so serious about how good this deck is. The extra deck is 3 totally awesomes. So when you're going first, your entity doesn't really help you to get any advantage. You want to send 3 for going second. We still play 3 first, so these are your support targets. I decided to play Totally Awesome at 3 because a lot of scenarios it came up where I literally had 3 targets in the grave, and I wanted to plus as much as I could. So the fact that I can go +5 off of Zaborg no matter what scenario is really good. Oftentimes, it's just going to be a +5, and you can't count it as a +6 because Zaborg is still a card that you got rid of off of your hand. And if you open, for example, Inception and Chalice Slime plus a Zaborg, you can actually go +6 because Inception Chalice Slime is a +1 in itself, and the Zaborg will get you these. So it's just insane. But the only thing is with Toads, you have to have the Waters engraved in the first place. So you normally want to be using this to loop your Visions and your Shadows and your Abysses and your Gishki Ritual monsters. And then going second, you just destroy nearly your opponent's entire field and chain block with your But normally you're going to do Chain Link 1, 2, 3 Herald of Arclight and then 4, 5, 6 Toads. Even if there's no Waters in your grave, you can just use the Toads to add their cells back, which is really cool. So you just a chain block so that none of your Hilder entity get Ash Blossomed or anything like that. Now continuing with the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Gustav Macht, and this is the Leap, the new rank 10 train that came out in the Girl Power, whatever it's called, the Girl Power, the new set that released Harpy support. I don't have one, so I'm proxying it, but I'm definitely going to get one for this deck because this is your Borosword when you can't make Borosword, but I do play Borosword in the deck because he comes up too. We have 1 copy of Ptolemy M7. This card extends your hand loop. Every time you go through the hand loop, you make this. Only time you don't is when you can't because Incantations on your field, but playing the Chalice Slime and also playing the Inception gives you more ways to just clear the Incantations off your field so that you're not under that restriction of no extra deck. But just by making this, you basically detach it and you add a Gishki Vision from your graveyard to your hand, or you add a Gishki Shadow from your graveyard to your hand. Then you use your Aquamirror to put itself back and add back the Gustkraken that you detached off of this. Then you discard the Shadow that you added from your grave off of this to add the Aquamirror, activate it, summon Gustkraken, you ripped another card out of your opponent's hand. So this extends your hand loop. It's part of the combo nearly every time. And then if you didn't rip every card out of your opponent's hand, you just end on a gate. So you rip 3 to 4 and end on a negate. That's better than ending on nothing. So I still like Strike, and it helps in time. And then Utopia Beyond just really helps you to push against Thunder Dragons because that's just one of your most difficult matchups. If you can't, for some reason, you just can't Zilgigas their whole field, there's sometimes where it comes up where you can make Beyond and make everything 0 and you could just attack for a lot of damage. And then I'm still playing the Borosword because it's really easy to make as long as you can clear your Incantations off. This deck can do a lot of spamming. Now let me see how long the video is. 19 minutes in? Okay, cool. So, what I'll do... As a matter of fact, I can't make it that long. What I'll do is, I'll get some duels for you guys with this deck, and I'll also do some test hands for it, so that there's not going to be any haters, you know, saying like, oh, this deck sucks. It's not as good as you think it is. But I definitely think what you should take away from this video is if you want to net deck my build, make sure that you play Diaboloses. Like, this card is literally like the tech that made this deck that much more powerful. And it also just gave me an alternate method for me to play under pressure. And also it gives me a contingency plan, because in the worst case scenario, just having a Diablo sometimes can really just get you there. Oftentimes, because most decks do struggle with dealing with this. Like, oftentimes, it's naturally going to be the Thunder Dragon Titan that can out this, but Altergeist and Sky Sharkers naturally just can't out this. It's really difficult for them to do so, especially when you've taken the vast majority of their resources via Gust Kraken. But that is it for the deck profile, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I tried to make this the sauciest Gishki deck profile you've ever seen, and I really hope that you guys, like, can kind of see where I'm going, like, what direction I'm headed with the deck. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed the deck profile. I wanted to make this... I'm trying to make it the best Gishki deck profile on YouTube, and I hope you guys can give me some feedback on how you feel about it. But thank you guys for watching the video. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content, and you folks have a beautiful day, all right? Peace.